Welcome to the Fantasy Football Forge. My name is Steve, and today we are going to go over the running back rankings. I have already released a video previously last night, actually, on the quarterback rankings, and then the tight end rankings earlier today, and later today we will get to the wide receiver rankings. As always, rankings are fluid throughout the week, and we do have some earlier games on Saturday this week, so keep that in mind. I will be live with my final updated rankings as of an hour prior to kickoff on Saturday. They'll be up on the screen over here all around, really. And so you can come and check out those rankings 1 hour prior to kickoff Saturday, and then maybe have some more updates even for Sunday games. And I will have them all up on my website at www.theFFforge.com, link down in the description. As of Thursday, I do have a dentist appointment early but mid-ish morning on Thursday tomorrow, as of the time of the recording of this. So that may impact how quickly I get those up, especially with a full slate of projections to do yet. There's, everybody's there to be projected. So it'll take a little bit longer than some weeks, and it's always a crunch. But let's just get right into the running back rankings over here. You see, I start out with the ECR. This is the expert consensus ranking from Fantasy Pros website, and then I move them around from there. In large part, I didn't have too many huge disagreements with the ECR, but there are still some situations that are not yet clarified too. So there will obviously be movement beyond just this video. So check out those rankings on the website to get more up-to-date rankings with my projections included. Will definitely have an impact on these. And over here is the difference between myself and the ECR based on where I have them right now, based on where the ECR was as of late Tuesday evening. And I will talk about the players who I have much higher, which are highlighted in green, or lower than the ECR. Here's the opponent. Here's the difficulty of that opponent in this matchup. Red is good, blue is bad, white is neutral, the player name and my ranking. So let's just start out. I put them in tiers. All of these green guys, including one more after that, are all in the first tier, but I have them kind of set up into 3 sub-tiers, and mainly the reason that I don't just create a new tier comes from the fact of how tough of a time I'm having with finding that cutoff point. So if I'm really just unsure of I want to put, I want 2 more guys in this tier, I want to cut it off a little earlier, but then I also don't, or something like that. That's what tends to create this kind of sub-tier thing. So take it how you want it. You could call them different tiers, but I call it 1A, 1B, 1C here. And 1A, 1B, and 1C starts off with Christian McCaffrey at my RB1, Derrick Henry at RB2, Austin Eckler, and then Jonathan Taylor at my RB3. These guys are all obvious must starts. There's not a huge drop off, I guess, from them to this next tier, tier 1B, which starts off at running back 5 with Dalvin Cook, followed by Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, Miles Sanders, Nick Chubb, Joe Mixon, Saquon Barkley, Alvin Kamara, and Isaiah Pacheco to wrap up that little tier. And then that's followed up with at running back 14 by David Montgomery, Aaron Jones, J.K. Dobbins, and Ezekiel Elliott to wrap up my full first tier. There's a lot of running backs this week, and they're quite deep, and that's good and bad. There's going to be, I think, quite a few guys who are going to underperform and overperform compared to where we're expecting them, because it's just a crowded running back room, especially now that we have all teams playing. So let's just start off here at running back 14 with David Montgomery. Is the first one I have a big difference with. Going up against Philadelphia, it is a actually pretty good matchup against the ground. I have him 6 spots ahead of the ECR at 14 compared to the ECR 20. And I do plan on, regardless of how my projections, I like David Montgomery this week, especially with no Darnell Mooney. We saw last week that they're going to have to just get some of their best players even more involved than David Montgomery and Cole Kmet. I think pretty much, especially with the time on the team compared to Chase Claypool, that are those guys that they're going to lean on the most. And I do want to point out, however, here for Philadelphia, I believe Jordan Davis could come back this week. He is a big rookie from this last draft class, was probably my favorite pure D tackle in the class, and he has done well, and the run game has definitely suffered as far as how good they are against the run game since he's been gone. Be less optimistic about David Montgomery if Jordan Davis is playing. than not. So if you're in a tiebreaker situation with David Montgomery, that could be something that you could pay attention to make your final decision. Is Jordan Davis activated and playing or not? And the other player in those first 3 sub-tiers is J.K. Dobbins, who I've ranked 16th, which is 5 spots ahead of the ECR. The ECR in him is 21, going up against Cleveland. I'll be interested to see what the projections, where they have him. This is a good matchup, and in a sea of guys who didn't really have great matchups here, starting around Aaron Jones, I struggled exactly where to put some of these guys. And so J.K. Dobbins kind of floated it to the top, but there is definitely some concerns based on how I've heard, like how well he actually looked on the field. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to see him play. We'll see how much he moves based on the projections. Some of these guys a lot of them could definitely jump him. This is a very, very pliable field, but I do really like that matchup going up against Cleveland. And I expect Baltimore to once again really try to establish the run, and this is a team that they might be able to do that with. Then my second tier for the running back starts off at RB18 with Travis Etienne Jr., followed by Jamal Williams, followed by Brian Robinson Jr., followed by James Conner, Najee Harris, Zonovan Knight, DeAndre Swift, Rachaad White. We'll get to Ramondre Stevenson there. As you can see, I have him just like a half there. And then Raheem Mostert, Leonard Fournette, Deonta Foreman, and Cam Akers to wrap that up at RB29. And these are all guys I like. I would say that these are still flex-worthy guys in this tier, is the general idea of how to look at them. Whereas once we get out of this tier, I would really be looking to get a wide receiver in there. But there's, I think, quite a bit of upside in this tier. And we're going to start that off actually with just a quick note here on Brian Robinson at 20. I am pretty close to the ECR there. But Brian Robinson at 20, and then Antonio Gibson I have at 32, and I really don't feel comfortable with that huge spread between those two. That ended up being an effect of how the rankings are currently being done. And maybe I'm just not thinking about some reason why there would be that huge gap between the two. But as far as I recall from 2 weeks ago, maybe now it's like 3 weeks ago since they played, I just don't feel comfortable with that huge gap. Now let's look at Ramondre Stevenson here. Like I said, I would point that out. So he just got injured last game, came back in the game, then went back out. He definitely wants to play against Las Vegas. I believe that is his hometown, if I am getting that correct. But he may not play at all. He's an injury concern. So obviously, depending on the health and everything, Ramondre would be much higher. There are guys that are not in these rankings that may be quite high, like Kevin Harris, like Pierre Strong, who might have quite a bit of value. So very much the New England running back Damian Harris could be coming back. That's so much in flux. But obviously, Ramondre Stevenson would be higher if he's coming in healthy and playing. Then Leonard Fournette, I have at RB27, which is 6 spots higher than the ECR. The ECR has him at 33, going up against Cincinnati. Now, they do have DJ Reader back there in Cincinnati, which makes that run game much harder. But both Fournette and Rachaad White can catch the ball quite a bit, and they're with a team that's not afraid to essentially abandon the run, or, they really have a quarterback more so than anything who knows how to substitute the running game with a short passing attack to the running backs, tight ends type thing. That doesn't really scare me, and I still think people are overreacting to the difference between Leonard Fournette and Rachaad White. And just like Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson, it's closer than what the experts have it right now. Let's just move on to the next tier of running back, starting off at running back 30 with Devin Singletary, followed by Latavius Murray, Antonio Gibson, Cordero Patterson, Tyler Algier, A.J. Dillon, Jerick McKinnon, Gus Edwards, Samaje Perine, which I halved there. Forgot to highlight that. And then James Cook. Just quick on Samaje Perine. I don't know why he's ranked this high. I don't know. Joe Mixon came back last week, so I'm guessing that's just a hangover from some people who didn't update their rankings prior and somehow made it into the ECR, but from 2 weeks ago, and I guess didn't update them prior to last week's game too. So maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I missed some bit of news. So that's why I didn't want to just totally remove him. Plus, I just grabbed the top 48 from the ECR and go with it. As far as this tier goes, you'll see it's pretty stacked. There's still a lot of great names. At this point, there are more so reasons to potentially not like these guys, whereas there were reasons to like these guys. However, it's not like there aren't reasons to like these guys. I mean, look at the matchup radar here. There's a lot of good matchups in this group, and we already talked about Antonio Gibson and me not feeling comfortable having him this far back compared to. And they might meet in the middle, but compared to Brian Robinson Jr. But then I do have Tyler Algier here at running back 34, which is 9 spots ahead of the ECR. The ECR has him at 43, and I just think that sometimes the experts are forgetting the amount of work that Tyler Algier gets. He has a very good floor to work with, and you can't have a ceiling without a floor. So the potential is there for him to have a bigger game. Then AJ Dillon, I have ranked 35th. The ECR and him is 31, so I have him 4 spots behind the ECR, and this just game to how stacked the running backs are, and he might fall back further. A lot of this also will depend on the news between himself and Aaron Jones as far as the health for Aaron Jones. That was a good piece of the puzzle as to why AJ Dillon got so much use the last time that they were out there. They did have a bye week to heal up, but AJ Dillon did finally come through in that, so maybe he earned himself another shot at getting a little bit more work. That's very possible. And I think against the Rams, they may want to lean on that power run a little bit. He is an untrustworthy start, but nonetheless, one who's definitely had some success lately and finds himself in a sea of guys. And we're going to go on to the next tier here, which I also think is pretty darn stacked for being running backs 39 through 44 here, and some of these guys could jump higher once I get my projections done. So, and same with the experts, will probably have some of these guys higher at the end of the day. So Rex Burkhead I have at RB 39, followed by Travis Homer, Chuba Hubbard, Michael Carter, Kareem Hunt, and Dare Ogunbowale at RB 44. As far as Rex Burkhead and Dare go, it looks like Dameon Pierce is going to be injured for a lengthy period of time. This was my season to win it all, and it's just crumbling apart around me with injuries. So, these two are going to get some sort of opportunity. Now, I think Dare Ogunbowale has looked better than Rex Burkhead in opportunities, but I also think that the staff and just the experience of Rex Burkhead makes him the starter. I think that he will probably get more opportunities. He'll almost definitely be on the field more. Maybe it'll be a hot hand approach and Rex gets the first chance. So there are some questions between these two, but there is an opportunity there going up against Kansas City. It's not the worst matchup in the world. Kansas City could easily do what Miami did to this defense and go and get a pretty big early lead, which would these are both the receiving backs. They played that role. It's a tough situation, but if it's not a chance I would want to take in the playoffs, but there is some opportunity there if you got some gonads. Then Travis Homer I have ranked 40th, and he's going up against San Fran. Really, really tough matchup on the ground, but honestly, I don't expect, if Travis Homer is once again the starter, or even if it's him and DJ Dallas, don't expect them to be attacking, through the ground game with those two, really no matter who the opponent is. It's more the receiving work is the upside for them, and surprised at how little work Travis Homer got last week, but they did find a lot of success through the air. But there's just, you can't ignore a guy who, if he's on the, if it's the same situation as last week, could be on the field 90% of the time. So I have him 5 spots ahead of the ECR. The ECR item is 45, I had him at 40. But there's still a lot of questions too with what this backfield will look like come go time for Seattle. And then I have Alexander Madison, Jeff Wilson Jr. here down in the trash. Jeff Wilson Jr. is injured, so that obviously impacts he and Raheem Morris's rankings. So there's a lot of questions yet to be answered this week, and rankings will really be coming down to the last minute, I'm sure, for a lot of people. So be willing to change your opinions on guys based on other news that we get throughout the week. I'll just zoom this on up. So look forward to my wide receiver rankings coming out later. Once again, check out the previous video positions rankings, and peace out.